Good evening. Welcome to One World's Education Agenda. Our program this evening is titled, "Is Pre-K to 12 Education Preparing Students for Success in College and Life?" I'm Marc Palmieri. I'd like to start with asking you a little bit about your very early school experiences. You know, maybe pre-K to grade 3. What are some of the things you remember fondly or not so fondly? Coral?
I think pre-K through like K-5 elementary school was a really pivotal moment in my educational career, as some may say. That was when my teacher, saw potential in me, and she invested in me and pushed me to go forward. And I think that those investments that those teachers made really made me the person that I am today.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I think that what was most memorable wasn't so much the education, but the community that my school created. Yeah, the principal was great and stuff, and she really drew all of the teachers together and the students and the parents together.
I agree in the sense that social-emotional learning was probably one of the most vital aspects of my early education, even more so than learning the actual foundational educational aspects.
I would have to say that, as others have mentioned, in addition to the sort of education I received, there was also the social aspect of teachers displaying their confidence and allowing us to truly rise to our true potential. They placed a lot of focus on in certain areas such as reading, which was really nice considering that not all students were interested in that sort of thing, but they really motivated us to choose books and try and pursue something that we were really interested in.
Yeah, and I would agree with that too, because my pre-K experience really was focused on how I interacted with others rather than the foundational of academics. It was learning how to behave and learning how to build my character as a person rather than focusing on the academics. And of course, the academics played a major part on it because we had to learn the basics of math and reading. But mostly the teachers focused on encouraging our characteristics and helping us grow in that.
Donovan?
Well, probably from that time period, my fondest memory would be my third grade class specifically. My teacher in third grade really pushed me to be a better student. Even though I was young, she could still see that I had the properties of being a good student that I am now. So she really pushed me, even though I was young, to really, focus and really do as much as I possibly can to do the best I could.
What were some of the social situations for you that, let's say, inside or outside of school that helped to facilitate that period of time for you and for your education? Donovan?
Well, I didn't go to pre-K. I went straight to kindergarten, and the reason for that was because my parents and grandparents spent, those first 5 years, they spent most of the time teaching me how to read and write and do math. So they helped me, become a sociable child and be able to go straight into school knowing the things that they would teach you in pre-K.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Mama.
A social experience that helped make the person I am today would be my name, in a sense, because my name is Mama, and that's quite abnormal in this country, but in West Africa, where my family is from, it's quite normal. But my peers would kind of taunt my name, and with that frustration, I'd apply it to school, and the teachers that invested the time in me helped me take those skills and gave me opportunities to help put me in higher classes and tune up my skills and not take a different path, in which if I didn't have those teachers, I wouldn't be able to be where I am.
I feel as though in the early years, it was more like they said, building for character. So I feel like my teacher and my parents, more really, they built my character and made me more motivated to pursue my schoolwork, whatever I had to do. So I think like they said, my peers said, it was more for character, building character.
Coral?
I think in elementary school I was more dependent on adults in my surrounding. I was more dependent on what my teacher thought of me, whether or not my parents pushed me to read or practice flashcards than I am now in high school. And so that encouragement from my surroundings really helped me to grow as a child, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
So as someone who didn't attend pre-K either, I would have to say that my teacher in kindergarten really placed a lot of focus on interacting with other students and regarding acknowledging yet respecting each other's differences.
Okay. When we take a look at the 5, 6, and 7, we begin to look at either the middle school or the K-8 phenomena. Does anybody here did anyone here attend a middle school? Okay. Tell me what the difference between a middle school and a junior high school is. Anybody want to try that one, Melina?
I would have to say that a middle school, which I did attend, has 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And what really happens then is that teachers who share the same sort of class curriculum or subject, for instance, English class, they would be able to join together as a sort of team and build upon certain aspects of the curriculum to cater to the students' needs. Whereas I feel that a junior high, which I never really have been exposed to, creates a sort of independent atmosphere where students are looking forward to that sort of high school autonomy in the sense.
I think, in my opinion, middle school is where you start to get labeled as a student. So like in middle school, you notice that kids are different. Like, you know, there's different different categories. Whereas like for individuals, and I feel like in middle school, that's when I really felt like I started to be tracked. Whereas in before 5th grade, everyone was in the same classroom. There was no idea of like, oh, this kid is smarter than me, or this kid is like not as smart as me. But then in middle school, that entire ideology started to really set in. Like, these kids are these type of kids and these kids are another type of kid.
Okay, and I'm going to challenge you and you say that's probably more typical of what a junior high school is. Because I think as most of you were talking here, we're talking a middle school basically takes the humanism that existed in that K3, K4 and moves it up to the 8th grade. Talk to me about some of your best experiences with teachers at that grade level. What do you remember? Fondly or not too fondly? Donovan?
Well, I think especially in the 7th grade, because I went to Hamden Middle. So Hamden Middle had 7th and 8th grade. So it was kind of a weird transition. You went from elementary school, you know, there was lines, we had line leaders, and there was, you know, designated lunch times, and there's all these things. And it felt like they kind of just threw us in middle school, which is a completely different thing as elementary school. So I personally had a hard time kind of adjusting to it. Okay. It was just that much different. There wasn't as much hand holding, and there wasn't as much direction as there would be in elementary school. So it kind of like the 7th grade was pretty hard for me.
I feel like in middle school, you know how to like better communicate with your teachers and whatnot. So like, and it's not like in preschool how you just have to follow like everybody else and whatnot. And so like in middle school, I think that you could build a better connection to like a teacher, and because I know like in my middle school experience, our teachers used to like play in recess with us, go on field trips with us and everything. And so like I just feel like the teachers really build your character in middle school, especially.
Mama again?
An experience I fondly remember in middle school, I switched in 6th grade to Jepson, and it was interesting because usually when you switch at like the pinnacle of your middle school career and you have no friends and you're moving on, it was very welcoming, and the teachers there, they made me feel welcome and they had me explore different things. So I wasn't really exposed to science at the other middle school I went to, so I remember I won in the NHPS district science fair, and so that was just something that stuck with me.
Yeah. Max, you were in K8.
Yeah, I was going to say that I didn't go to a separate junior high school. My school for elementary school went from kindergarten to 8th grade. But a fond memory that I have was also kind of the independence that you reach once you go into 7th grade, which in my elementary school they considered a form of junior high school. So as soon as you get to that that grade, the teachers put a big emphasis on being personally accountable and relying on yourself to get things done. This was something that you really didn't experience as much of in previous years, and it could be for better or worse depending on what type of student you are. For me, it was nice because I enjoyed being independent and working out things on my own, social problems and academic problems, and it kind of toughened me up a lot for what to expect in high school and also what to expect in the real world, like in a job as well.
Natalie?
For me, I think that one of the main impacts was probably the teachers telling us, like, every grade what that we were like being prepared for the next year, and this continued like every single year. And so the rationalization for things often, rather than telling us like, oh, this is gonna, like, giving us a real breakdown of why we're doing it, it was to prepare you for next year. It's to prepare you for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, for high school, and it's continued throughout my education.
Liam?
In regards to the self-accountability that Max was talking about how as students, as we progressed through school, teachers felt that it was more important to have us rely on ourselves for education. I feel like I had that sort of experience in 6th grade when I first had this one teacher who taught history, who focused mainly teaching in giving us notes that we had to copy down. And so every day we'd simply copy down these notes about history, about all these major wars and battles and historical leaders. And I felt that something was really lost in translation from just writing it down rather than actually experiencing it from the viewpoint of the teacher speaking to us.
Okay.